Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our program today to celebrate World Mental Health Day. I would request you that for the entirety of this session, please keep your videos off and yourself on mute. At the end, I will be requesting you to switch it on briefly, so you can wait until then. So the Department of Economics and Psychology have organized this event. World Mental Health Day is an international day for global mental health education. It was first celebrated in 1992, and it has since then become an annual program to bring attention to mental illnesses and their major effects in people's lives worldwide. Each year, the WHO recommends a different theme, such as suicide prevention, mental health in the workplace, among others. And the theme for 2020 is mental health for all. Keeping this theme in mind, the Department of Economics and Psychology at St. Xavier's College, Jaipur, has organized this interactive webinar with the objective of raising awareness within our community about the challenges faced by students, aimed at taking collaborative action and creating lasting change. The students were asked to submit any emotional concern faced by them anonymously to emphasize the importance of asking for help. Our resource person for today is Dr. Pradnya Deshpande, a clinical psychologist and committee member for the Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Work, POSH, affiliated to a psychiatric clinic affiliated further to SMS Medical College. She has executed several projects for international and non-profit organizations. She has also been the consultant for advocacy and research, as well as the project director at Healing Center for Women. She has coordinated research across Rajasthan for the World Health Organization in their Pan-Indian epidemiologic survey and study. She continues to build capacity of teachers on disability and work on mental health in schools across Jaipur. She has over 20 years of experience in working in the domain of mental health and psychological well-being. On behalf of the Department of Economics and Psychology, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Deshpande.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to all of you.
I now invite Dr. Deshpande for her address.
Thank you, Shiromani, and thanks to St. Xavier's College, the Economics and Psychology Department for taking this mandate ahead on mental health. We've just begun the World Mental Health Fortnight, and October is a very special month for all the mental health professionals, because this is our time to kind of make people aware, make them realize the importance of mental health in our lives. And student population especially is one population which is very, very very important for all of us, because they are the future citizens, and we really need to take care of their emotional and mental well-being. So I feel that all of us really have some kind of myths in our mind related to mental health, which we need to kind of clear off and give our youngsters, give our adolescents, give our youth a better perspective on what mental health is all about. Yeah, Shiromani, I think I have broached the subject. You want to ask me any questions? I think we can do that.
Yes, ma'am. So I think, ma'am, let's start with the basics, and let's begin with first, some of the students and the laypersons may be confused about how do we classify mental health disorders, what are the different classifications or categories. So maybe if we could begin with that.
Okay, so before we go to the classification, let me kind of reiterate the fact that mental health definition just does not mean that your mind should be, healthy, or it should not be ill. The earlier definition in WHO was, lack of illness. So it was more on a model of illness. Whereas this particular definition that we have now with the WHO which all of you can go onto the site and check, that it's a lovely definition which talks about a human being's capacity to live day-to-day life in an emotionally stable way, to be able to take decisions, to be cognitively aware, yeah, to be able to socialize in a manner which is fulfilling, to have relationships, to have a decision making in most of the areas, yeah. So this is a very broad-based definition that we are talking about in mental health. It is just not only health, but it's also about the well-being of this person, which is related to the society, which is related to the family. So it has a larger ambit, a wider area is covered in the definition of the mental health currently, which is being, which is expanded over the years. Initially, it used to be only, oh, pagal aadmi hai. You know, mental health would definitely mean कि पागल है या इसका दिमाग खराब है. You know, these are the layman lingo terms which people use to define mental health. And talking about classification, most ordinarily people know mental health की tension है, डिप्रेशन है ना, या नींद नहीं आती. एंड सम ऑफ देम नो मेंटल हेल्थ की वो तो कितना पागलों जैसा व्यवहार करता है, ही डजंट अंडरस्टैंड कि वो रियलिटी में नहीं है, या कपड़े फाड़ देता है, किसी से भी गुस्सा कर लेता है, या किसी से भी लड़ाई कर लेता है. सो देयर आर दीज टू वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ डिस्क्रिप्शंस व्हिच come along. So classifying them, we can say that there are common mental health disorders and there are severe mental health disorders. So two basic broad categories are there. So common mental health disorders are as common as the common cold, you know. So there you could have issues related to depression, issues related to mood, issues related to adjustment, issues related to emotional well-being, issues related to scholastic issues, that is, having difficulty academically or things like that. And then there is the SMD, that is the severe mental health disorders. So therein lies the area and expertise of a psychiatrist, where you want treatment. And mostly SMDs are they're a long haul kind of a disorder, where you have to be in touch with your psychiatrist and your counselor at a longer duration. And there are severe mental health disorders like schizophrenia. Largely, this is what people know: schizophrenia is a serious disorder. So these are two classifications which you kind of asked me to talk about. Yeah. Shiromani.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that clarification. Actually, we have received a lot of questions regarding some of the common mental health disorders like anxiety and depression and OCD. So I thought it would be important that we, first differentiate the two. So one of the very popular questions which was asked was, how do I deal with anxiety?
How do I deal with anxiety? That's a lovely question. Let us also put into perspective that anxiety is something which all of us are going to have. It is going to be there with us till we live. That means till we don't die. Yeah. So anxiety is a very important thing for our living. Now, how do we balance that anxiety? Anxiety can be appropriate and not so appropriate. Anxiety can be severe, anxiety can be normal, right? So I'll give you a simple example. When we are about to write an exam, there is this anxiety which takes place, which is very, very normal. Anybody who has to appear for any kind of exam, including me tomorrow, if I have to attend any kind of thing which is new to me, or which is going to test my knowledge or information, I am going to feel a little nervous. I'm going to get those butterflies in the stomach kind of a feeling, and that is very normal. So this anxiety, ya chinta in Hindi, is something which all people should have, right? We can't really not have a chinta. That is not possible. That's not a sign of a living person. Yeah, so let's banish this thought out of our mind कि बिना चिंता के जी सकते हैं. नहीं जी सकते. इंसान की फितरत है, हमारे माइंड ऐसे बनाया गया है कि हम सोचते हैं. right? We think, and with thinking comes that little anxiety, and that anxiety is necessary. So one has to take things out of his from this ambit, from our mind, that सब चिंताएं खराब होती है. नहीं, सब चिंताएं खराब नहीं होती, लेकिन किसी भी चीज को अति करो, इफ यू डू एनीथिंग इन एक्सेस, तो चिंता भी एक्सेस में करोगे तो then there is a problem, right? So like exam anxiety is a very common thing, but if I exceed my anxiety more than normal, जैसे मैं क्लासरूम में चली गई, अपना सीट नंबर लिख दिया, रोल नंबर लिख दिया, and I'm ready to write for my exam, and then I just completely forget everything because I'm so overwhelmed, I am so scared, then that anxiety is overpowering my ability to be productive, right? Now, that is not a good anxiety. Till the time I'm able to write my roll number, and then when I look at the question paper, and immediately my anxiety disappears, and I feel like writing all the answers, then I'm a perfectly okay person, right? So, the distinguishing line is, how do I deal with my anxiety when when I'm in anxious situations, right? Similarly, if I were to stand in a ticket counter, and the ticket counter line is a little long, yeah, and I'm getting jittery, my number is probably 25th or 26th, right? And I keep looking at the watch, and I keep looking at people around, and I'm keep saying kab hoega, kab hoega, kab hoega, then my anxiety is at the peak of being frustrated or being very jittery. Whereas the thing about my anxiety is I need to have patience, right? My number is going to come, I'm the 26th person probably. So how I manage my anxiety, that is the most important thing. With anxiety, you have some kind of physical symptoms. When you have anxiety which is inappropriate or which is more in nature, so some physical symptoms come in, like you have a fast heartbeat which is called palpitations. घबराहट होती है ना, क्या होगा क्या होगा, और उसमें आपको लगता है कि पसीना आ रहा है, you start sweating, your palms and soles become, you know and there is a weird feeling in your stomach, like your stomach has become empty, and there is this very simple phrase called butterflies in the stomach, you feel weird, right? So these are the symptoms of some anxiety which people feel in situations, right? दिल की धड़कन तेज होना, घबराहट होना, है ना, कुछ सूझना नहीं, समझ में नहीं आना, है ना, these are some peculiar symptoms where we can say that the person has become anxious, you know. So like I said, being anxious is not bad, it is important for our living, but being healthily anxious is the task that we all need to learn.
All right, ma'am. Such wise words, managing anxiety and managing healthy anxiety.
Yeah.
So something that was related to this actually was that when I feel anxious, it sometimes turns to panic, and I'm worried about how to calm myself in these pressure situations where I'm panicking. So any strategies, ma'am, that you could recommend that when you are panicking, then how to reduce that state of panic?
Yeah, that's a very nice question, because all of us go through this at some point of time, and maybe young students go through it very many times, because there are lots of situations which kind of create a panic. Currently, the pandemic has also created a panic amongst us. Because of this pandemic, a lot of us have gone panicky because we are worried कि क्या होगा, what is going to happen. So in such kind of situations, the very fact that we are aware that I'm getting into this panicky situation is a very big bonus. It's a plus point, because that means our levels of awareness are good, and we're able to identify what is going wrong with me, my thinking and my behavior probably, or what is going wrong and how I'm able to control it. So this is a very good thing when we understand that I'm getting panicky. So like I said, when you get panicky, you have this palpitation, you start sweating, you think you've forgotten everything, all those things, right? So one thing which is most effective is to calm down, to calm down your breathing, to slow down a bit, to very purposefully slow down your breathing very slowly, and then probably sit down and count 100. These are very, very simple techniques, count 100 in a slow manner, break the activity which is kind of making you feel anxious or panicky, Mm. Some people also feel that maybe, changing the room, getting out of the house, taking a walk will stop those symptoms, which are also very healthy tips. One can do that. If I feel closed in an enclosed space, I feel panicky very fast. It's much better to, kind of get out of the room, talk to people, so that you're kind of lowering your anxiety and the panic attack can subside.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think these are going to be important tips that students can use in their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Some things more specific, ma'am, were about, students asking that I think I have OCD or I think I have ADHD. So how do we identify these illnesses and how can we manage them?
Okay, now this is a very technical question, but since it's been asked, I'll briefly answer it. So, OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah. So, in order to identify, I think you need to go to a professional. We don't have to do the Google Baba thing and, go on to Google and say, oh, I have OCD, because that's not the right way to get diagnosed. You need to kind of go to a mental health professional, preferably a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, to understand more about your condition. Not everybody can have an OCD. So the full definition of OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder, where you can have obsessive thoughts and compulsive actions. And for that, there could be very simple things like, I have this obsession of checking locks. Have I locked the door? Or actions where my hands are dirty. Maybe I need to wash them, and I continuously keep washing them, thinking that they are dirty. These are the most common examples to, kind of identify OCD. But there are other things as well. If my thought keeps repeating in my mind and I'm not really able to clear my thought, so that also could fall into the obsessive compulsive spectrum. There are lots of actions, lots of thoughts, lots of behaviors which can fall into this spectrum of obsessive compulsion. But like I said, we should not be the ones to diagnose this. It should be a mental health professional. So I would advise all the students that even if they feel that they want to have a discussion, let it be somebody who is from the mental health background, so that there is no unnecessary hype or this whole thing that I have OCD kind of a thing. So it's best to have a chat with a mental health professional to understand more about OCD. Which was the other thing which you asked, Shiromani?
ADHD.
ADHD. Yeah.
Yes.
So ADHD is attention deficit disorder, and ADHD is a disorder basically. It's not something which हम लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं नहीं इसका ध्यान नहीं लग रहा, वो बहुत चंचल है ना. These are very layman terms to describe. ADHD is a serious disorder, and it does affect a part of the brain, which is why the person is unable to concentrate on certain things. And it is found in adults as well as in young children, right? But like I again said कि चंचलता का मतलब हर एक को ADHD नहीं है ना. You have to really understand the seriousness of saying or classifying somebody into ADHD. For that, we really need to go to a mental health professional, and we should not use or misuse this kind of a lingo कि अरे इसका ध्यान नहीं लगता, इसको ADHD है शायद. No, it could not. It just cannot be that simple. ADHD has many criteria to kind of fulfill. So attention deficit disorder is a fairly complex thing to diagnose, and one should go to a good mental health professional to feel that, okay, do I have these kind of symptoms? Some of the symptoms is inability to concentrate, gets easily distracted, you know is unable to sit in one place, fidgets a lot, or has difficulty in may have the best of intelligence but is inability to produce in a certain particular time. So all these things then become important to see how are we going to treat this person, depending on the age and the level of difficulty. So the best thing is that talk to a mental health professional if one thinks that one wants to know more about an ADHD.
All right,
I'm
ma'am.
very surprised that a lot of people know about ADHD, which is a very nice thing. But in
Hmm.
most homes, ADHD is a very overused term. If parents are not able to understand the child, or if parents are not able to you know take care of a young child, and the child is more playful and smart, then they immediately label the child as अरे इसको तो attention hyperactivity है, बहुत hyperactivity, which is not true.
Hmm.
Maybe the parents are not ready for that kind of parenting where you have to indulge in the child and his activities.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. Moving to the other spectrum a little bit, there
Yeah.
were questions around, how do I deal with intrusive, recurring negative thoughts, depression, and, suicidal ideation?
Okay. So all of us have to now realize that what is the component of stress that we have, right? So stress is a very, very important area which most of us negate very easily. Most of us just don't take stress very lightly. If there are some psychology students, I am sure you all must be aware of these terms called eustress and distress. Yeah, so eustress is stress which gives me a challenging environment, stress which makes me feel good, and I can be productive, which is good stress. And distress is something which talks about the distress, where the stress is actually trying to take away my productivity, actually trying to take away my attention, or my ability to concentrate, or my ability to be productive on a certain issue, or maybe studies, maybe at home. So, and stressors could be different. There could be different kinds of stressors. Currently, we are going through a stressor called the pandemic, right? Where we have to change our lifestyle, we have to change the way we move out of the house, we have to wear a mask, we have to sanitize our hands. So these are some of the stressors that we are kind of facing these days, but we are adapting to them, we are adopting our lifestyles, right? So these are larger stressors which we have. But there could be stress related to family, there could be stress related to personal relationships, there could be stress related to, I stay in a certain part of India, and where I do not get the opportunities to do certain things. So stressors can be very of different kinds. Also, stressors can be related to your biology, where I am endowed with certain difficulties. Maybe I have diabetes, maybe I have some kind of issues related to thalassemia, where I need blood transfusion regularly, where I have other physical elements. So stressors can be biological, stressors can be psychological, stressors can be from the environment. So all these kind of things do affect human beings and their behavior. So we need to realize where the stress is coming from, right? And while this stress is on, since we are thinking people, feeling people, individuals and human beings, we need to see whether our thought, behavior, and emotions are in congruence. If I hope everybody understands congruence. So there is not much gap or deficit, between my thought, my behavior, and my emotion. If there are some gaps, if my emotion is different and my behavior is different, I'm feeling angry, but I'm not expressing that in my behavior.
Hmm.
Or I am not I'm thinking something, but my emotion is as exactly the opposite. Then there is incongruence, right, which will give rise to some or the other kind of a deficit in the person, which could be stress, right? And which is what we all need to understand. It's a very vast topic that we are discussing in a short time, but we'll try to cover. So tension, distraction, and sadness, these are part of our daily lives. We don't get depressed in like 1 minute or 2 minutes. It takes some time. Depression हम बहुत आसानी से यूज कर लेते हैं कि ओ आज मुझे डिप्रेशन है. एक्चुअली डिप्रेशन नहीं होता, एक सेटबैक होता है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आज शायद कुछ चीजें नहीं होंगी बिकॉज समथिंग वेंट रॉन्ग इन द मॉर्निंग. मे बी माई मूड इज सैड, maybe I'm thinking in a negative way, right? So all these factors make our thinking, behavior, and emotions a little more complicated. And what we need to realize is that while we are trying to lead our daily lives, we are going to face with challenges. Yeah. And these challenges could affect our mood, could affect the way we feel. And we need to be observant about it. People do face some. अगर कोई ये कहेगा कि I'm all the time happy, I am all the time 365 days happy, that's a lie. That doesn't happen. Common human beings go through very small emotions. Like, if I tell you my example, if my maid doesn't come within the 45 minutes gap that she's given to come, I can get a little upset, and maybe my whole schedule can go for a toss, right? So we need to realize that we go through smaller emotions, and which intensities keep changing with situation and with time. But yes, we go through anger, we go through sadness, we go through happiness, we go through excitement, you know but how we deal with it, that is the most important thing. To give you an example about how human beings can think, or how human beings can react, let me give you an example through a story. My grandfather gave me a very expensive pen, a pen which meant a lot, something like a Parker pen, a Parker pen which he used, and he was a prolific writer. And he gifted me that pen as a granddaughter and said that, you, this is my gift to you, and please keep it safely. It's such a so, and for me, it's a great reverence that my grandfather gave something so precious, because he was a writer and well-known writer. तो ऐसे व्यक्ति का पेन अगर मेरे पास है तो मुझे कितना अच्छा लगता है. And this pen is kept with me for a very long time, and then suddenly I lose this pen. I kind of misplace it, and I find out, and I realize that, oh my God, it's such a big loss. I have lost my grandfather's very precious pen. What should be my response? How should I react to this kind of a पेन गायब होना, या पेन मिसप्लेस करना, या पेन को खो देना? Now there are kinds of responses where I can go into sadness for the next 6 months and blame myself that I was irresponsible. I couldn't take care of a family legacy. My grandfather ensured that pen, and and I really get sad, and I get, every time I think about the pen, I start crying, and my whole life is disturbed because now I'm constantly thinking about the pen. Or I am this person who for 8 days really feels very bad. Oh, I have lost the pen, I shouldn't have been so careless, and I will probably be more careful in the future. But yes, I have noted that I can be careless at times. And I'll keep that in mind if somebody gives me something precious like this, to keep it a little more carefully. Yeah. And really feel bad about the fact that I lost that pen. And then there's a third scenario where I kind of forget about the whole pen, and I said, okay, I lost it. What's the big deal? you know and maybe I'll get another pen, and that's okay. So all these three scenarios actually show me how I think, how I feel, what are my attachments to that. And I feel both the first one and the last one are extreme examples of what my feelings are going through. One, the last example was where I really don't feel anything for the pen. I don't have any feelings. खो गया, कोई बात नहीं, दूसरा आ जाएगा, नया आ जाएगा, without realizing the importance that my grandfather gave it to me, because it meant a lot. It was kind of a gift, and it was meant to keep like a memento. The first example where I gave you, I'm sad for 6 months, which is an extreme thing, and I cry over it every time I remember it, and it's disturbed my sense of peace, right? Also, the example which I gave you in the middle made me realize that yes, it is something which I need to be feeling bad about. I played an irresponsible role. That was a feedback I got from my own thinking, that I need to be more careful. But my life went on. I did not kind of cuddle my sadness, but I took charge of the whole thing, and I kind of realized that no, I need to be more careful and more responsible in the future for something like my grandfather's pen. Yeah. So through these three things, what I am trying to highlight is how we process our emotions, how we process our thinking, largely depends on that. And definitely, I saw somebody writing in the chat box, there is a neurochemical factor to it also. Our brain kind of secretes such a lot of chemicals, and those chemicals also play a very important part in our emotions and how we feel about them. So it's not only just the chemicals, but it's also the the environment around us, the family, the legacy or the endowment that I get through families, the interaction which I have in my families, the communication pattern. All these are multifactorial things which affect the mental health of that individual. Have I been able to answer your questions appropriately? I hope.
Yes, ma'am. With so many examples, I think, which is so relevant to students, and it becomes so easy, so much easier for them to understand. So I'm sure they too appreciate it. Okay, ma'am. Now moving from, we've heard a lot about some of the disorders, and I thought that we should now move to some of the daily life stressors and concerns that students have asked about, say their families, their relationships. So something that came up very frequently was my students asking that how do we deal with body shaming?
How do we deal with body shaming? Yeah, this is a very big concern of late with students. And one of the things which I would like to tell you all is that we all are beautiful people, you know, and all students should know this, that God created us with a lot of beauty. So, one of the most important things in body shaming, which I feel people feel, is that I am lesser, I'm not good looking, or I'm fat, I'm dark, and these are things which can be internalized because of certain factors which are around us, you know, societal factors, community factors, family factors, sometimes there are families who are very insistent on good looks. Sometimes there are societies and communities which insist girls and boys, अरे इतनी सी हाइट है तेरी, लड़का है ना तू, कितना छोटा दिख रहा है, लड़कों को तो लंबा होना चाहिए, लड़कों को तो चौड़ा होना चाहिए. Whereas if the same thing happens for the girl, if she's very tall, well then she'll be, इतनी लंबी शादी कैसे होगी, So the tallness or the heftiness, the color, all these things really resonate the kind of society or the kind of community or the family that we belong to. What is the communication that is happening at home, or in our community and society, which really affects an adolescent? See, our children, especially college going children, are very, very vulnerable at this point of time. They are very impressionable. It really matters to them what my surroundings tell me, what my parents tell me, what my peers tell me, what my teachers tell me, what my community says, what my extended relatives think about me. So all these are very, very important factors because they are in this impressionable age. I think the adults and the seniors really need to look at their responsibility a little more carefully. We can't be so callous and we can't be so harsh on them. Also we have these very strong stereotypes in our head. लड़की को तो सुंदर दिखना चाहिए, लड़की के तो बाल लंबे होने चाहिए, लड़की के तो मुस्कुराहट अच्छी होनी चाहिए ना, उसके उसका चेहरा ही उदास है, तो ये उदास लड़की कैसे दिखेगी, so we have such preconceived notions in our head where we really fail to see the beauty in the person who is standing across us. Every person is different and every person has its own beauty. There is a very old saying in English, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So, one who is seeing the other person is the one who defines beauty. Who is society to define and say that you are fat, you are thin, you are black? नहीं तो हमारे पास लव स्टोरीज ही नहीं होती. हीर रांझा ही नहीं होते, रोमियो जूलियट ही नहीं होते, है ना? तो बॉडी शेमिंग का बड़ा सा हिस्सा ऑल्सो इज ड्रिवन बाय द कॉस्मेटिक इंडस्ट्री, द एडवर्टाइजिंग इंडस्ट्री. वी हैव फेयर एंड लवली, we have other fairness creams or maybe lightening creams, glow and lovely now it is, right? So when my mother says कि अरे तू तो बहुत सावली हो गई है, तू धूप में मत जाया कर, या सनस्क्रीन लगाया कर, what is it that she's probably hinting at? That you need to be fair. या हिंदी में एक लाइन है, लड़की का चेहरा तो बड़ा साफ है, रंग बड़ा साफ है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी शादी होने में, है ना? तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं वो हमारे सोशलाइजेशन का हिस्सा है, और जो धीरे धीरे हमारे स्वभाव का हिस्सा बन जाता है, हमारे पर्सनालिटी का हिस्सा बन जाता है, हमारे इमेज का हिस्सा बन जाता है. इफ यू वांट टू अलाइन to this kind of a thought pattern, then getting into this kind of a depression is very easy. If a girl is constantly being told that she is very dark, she is very dark, then unfortunately, poor child, she is going to internalize that she is very dark and she needs to do something like this. Yeah, girls and boys, I wouldn't say boys don't face body shaming, they do. Fat boys, not very manly macho boys, we call them, कितना सीसी लुकिंग है ना, इसकी आवाज देखो कैसे लड़कियों जैसी है. तो बॉडी शेमिंग दोनों सेक्सेस के लिए बराबरी से है. मे बी लड़कियों के लिए थोड़ा ज्यादा एम्फसाइज किया जाता है because of this whole marital issue that we have, where we feel that the girl should be more good looking, and she should be more presentable and fair and long hair with no chashma and all that stuff. So that is something which the society echoes. And I feel, like I said, body shaming is driven by the industry as well. We have so many products which keep telling you can get better and better and better. It's just a never ending thing. Yeah. So we all really need to take individually and as a society or as a community, take a stand कि भैया हम कहाँ रुकेंगे. Am I happy being the person who I am? That is the most important thing. Looking good is not, because everybody's goodness comes in different ways. Just the mere fact that my looks are so important is a big myth, because if you make a list of 10 women, or if you make a list of 10 men, and we put people like Indira Gandhi, Madhuri Dixit, and maybe Mother Teresa, and say who is more beautiful, people will have different versions of who's more beautiful, because like I said, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. I probably think that Indira Gandhi is most beautiful. Why? Because she was a very capable leader. Somebody might say, no, Madhuri Dixit is, वो कितनी अच्छा डांस करती है, वो कितना अच्छा दिखती है. So perspectives are different, but what we need to really kind of emphasize is on how the person is capable, and the capability should be defined, that beauty should be defined with the person, and not just his external factors, not just the color, not just the height or the body weight or the kind of organs the person has. What are the qualities of the person, how the person brings in into the society, and that is what is more important. Like I said, again, going back to the family is the ground where children build their self-esteem, children build their self-image. If our families stop doing this body shaming, I think a lot of children will feel very good about themselves, feel very happy of the people who they are. I have answered your question, Shiromani?
Yes, ma'am. Very true. Very true. Actually, it's actually our families' opinions that really stay with us. Sometimes something that they have said, consciously or subconsciously, remains in our minds, and we seem to carry it, whether good or bad. On the topic of family, ma'am, another question that came was that I experienced this, vast generation gap exists between my parents and me. So what can we do about this generation gap, and how do we deal with the difference in, behavior and habits?
Tough question. But indeed a very important question. So let's first understand the family dynamics and the part of India that we belong to. Okay, we are in a we are in northern India, right? And northern in India is fairly conservative, still very conservative as far as rearing up children is concerned. Parenting styles are still very old and conservative. We parents still believe that they are in charge of the child's well-being, and there is very little say for the child in his well-being, or the person concerned in their well-being. So what happens is that while we stay in a family, we do not really have a lot of democratic understanding. Now, the word democracy comes from political science. No, it's not that true. Democracy means having some little say into the running of the family or what happens in the family. Just not selecting curtains and selecting your clothes, right? But selecting your career, or having a discussion on family matters. I think still a larger part of northern India is very conservative in involving children in family discussions, right? So they feel कि बच्चों का क्या काम है इसमें, इनको तो दूर रखो, इनका तो पढ़ने लिखने का काम है, let them concentrate on पढ़ाई लिखाई, right? But it's not true. Children get affected by what's happening in the family. अगर भाइयों में लड़ाई है, चाचा ताऊ में लड़ाई है, या देवरानी जेठानी में लड़ाई है, बड़ी माँ और छोटी माँ में लड़ाई है, या तो that is going to get affected with the way how the child thinks about the family, और what the child feels. Okay, अब मुझे भी ऐसी किसी फैमिली में जाना पड़ा, मान लो मेरी शादी हो जाती, तो I will have to face all those kind of things, right? So children do get affected by what is happening in the family, which probably the family thinks ये कोई बात होती है बेकार, इसमें कोई जरूरत ही नहीं बच्चों का अपना दिमाग लगाने की, they should just stick to their studies and to their career, and that's how it is, right? But it's not true. And the generation which is coming is a more thinking generation, is a generation which is challenging a lot of thoughts. Our students are the ones who read a lot. Our parents generations did not have a lot of access to a lot of information, but fortunately we have Google Baba now. So I have students who can tell their parents that papa, you're wrong here, this is not how it is to be done, you can't raise your hand on us, that's violence. Okay, so this is where the difference comes in, where now the generation is learned, they know what's right and wrong, they have a lot of access to information. So while picking up fights at home, I would always caution these young children to not take up a lot of fights, because our parents are not really ready for this whole thing of having a conversation. If you start trying to tell them, it is going to come back, तुम argue बहुत करते हो, बहुत तेज हो गए हो, तुमको पता नहीं कौन सिखाता है ये सारी चीजें, माँ बाप से ऐसे बात की जाती है. These are the statements which children get to hear. Actually, what children want to do is just give them their opinion. They probably don't want to tell their parents they're right or wrong, right? But parents perceive it as right or wrong. And I would advise all kids to be a little more cautious and tactful while dealing with parents. We have to be parents now if we want to really be smart in dealing with their emotions, because parents, poor thing, have not got off this thing about controlling my child's life. Actually their role is more of guiding. And some parents, I'm sure, mean well, they all mean well. Those who are even controlling, they all mean men, they are very protected, they want to protect their children in every kind of problem. But the real fact is that we cannot protect every time everybody. The child needs to learn through his or her own failures, right? So parents have this issue, and poor thing, they're also learning to be better parents. So let's pardon them, at times, yes, and seek help wherever you think that I am unable to talk to my parents. Let's try and talk to a counselor, let's try and talk, at least get off that burden on your mind. It would be best if most of us learn to talk about our issues. Also in homes, we are taught not to talk about our issues. That's another problem which children carry, कि मैं अपने घर की बात कैसे बता सकता हूँ, क्योंकि घर वालों ने सिखाया घर की बात घर के अंदर ही होनी चाहिए. है ना? So I would request all the youngsters that please learn to share some of the problems. I'm not saying share it with everybody. Share it with someone trusted. Share it with a counselor. Share it with somebody whom you think you will feel better after sharing. You know, maybe the person might not give you a great solution, but you'll feel better. And once you feel better, you'll know what to do and how to deal the situation.
Yes, ma'am. Very true. A lot of times, actually, it's not even about arriving at the solution, but just getting to express what it is that you've been experiencing or feeling. Ma'am,
Yeah.
something moving to another dimension of relationships. I think some students wanted to know that I feel insecure in my relationships and friendships. So how can I deal with that?
Okay, insecurity is a part of all relationships. All of us can have this kind of a feeling. But I would tell you something is that some of us get very desperate to have people in our lives. And that's the problem. We can't be desperate to get anything in our lives. Desperate to get a latest t-shirt, desperate to get a latest laptop, desperate to get the latest gadget, you know, and desperate to date a boy who's the most hot person. No, no. We can't get desperate. So the key word here is that if you start thinking that this is something which is something which I require, it's a must. तो sit back and think कि वाकई में क्या जरूरी है इतना. किसी भी चीज को अगर हम डेस्परेशन के पॉइंट में जाके देखेंगे तो बहुत तकलीफ होगी, बहुत प्रॉब्लमेटिक होगा वो सिचुएशन. It's very, very important for us to control our desperation. Nothing should be at a point of desperation. Because the moment you get desperation, your anxiety is at the highest. And that's where you can make mistakes. That's where you can do wrong things, comply to wrong statements, and say, no, I'm ready to go to any extent to keep this person in my life. And maybe by doing so, you may face violence, you may tolerate something that you shouldn't be tolerating. It may kill your self esteem, it may kill your self respect, and when you do realize that this is happening to you, it may be too late, right? So let's keep the key word of desperation. किसी भी सिचुएशन में हमको डेस्परेट नहीं होना है ना. हमारे कुछ उसूल है, हमारे कुछ वैल्यूज है, हमारी कुछ सोच है. उस सोच के साथ ही रिलेशनशिप में जाना चाहिए. और दूसरी बात यह है कि हम सब लोगों को ये सोचना चाहिए कि कंपैटिबिलिटी बहुत जरूरी है किसी भी रिश्ते में, है ना. मेरी सोच मिलते हैं क्या, क्या मेरी वैल्यूज मिलती है, क्या हम एक दूसरे का दुख सुख समझने की कैपेसिटी रखते हैं, है ना. या फिर उनमें से एक बंदा ऐसा नहीं यही सुख है तो वो डिफाइन कर दिया सुख, नहीं ये ऐसा तो होगा ही नहीं अपने साथ, so there is a controlling person and there is a submissive person. We need to have relationships which are supplementary and complementary, right? We can't have submissive relationships and controlling relationships. So all our children need to understand that relationships में friendship और भागीदारी and equality बहुत जरूरी है. जो feelings मुझे है वो feelings उससे भी होनी चाहिए. Like a very simple example, I would like to say the rules which are there for boys should also be the rules for the girls, and the rules which are there for girls should also be there for boys, right? As simple as that. So if girls think that they are under more rules, then there is a problem. And if the boys also feel that they are under rules, then there is a problem. So let's try and find out what is good for both the sexes and make it equal. So then we do not have relationship issues. And if there are issues, and if you have realized that this has become a problem, then we need to take consultation. We need to talk to somebody. So there are lots of people available. You have family therapists, you have family counselors, you have psychologists, you have premarital counseling, you have a lot of help available. Please seek help whenever you feel that you need some more clarification or some more idea on what to do and how to go about ahead.
All right, ma'am. I think what's also very important is that maybe in this generation, we need to be educating our children about what is a healthy relationship, and differentiating a healthy relationship from an unhealthy relationship.
Yes, very true, very true.
Something
tell me.
Similar lines that came up was that I think I have trust issues. How do I develop trust in people around me?
Okay, trust issues. So the person finds it difficult to trust other people, right?
Mm,
So, see, there could be two, three ways. One, that you could be feeling very poor about yourself, right? I have poor self-esteem issues, hence I have poor trust issues. If I think badly about myself, then I do not have the confidence to trust the other person. Also, there could be another scenario where my trust has been broken too often and I'm unable to trust. Yeah. So and another situation where I have seen people backbite. I have seen people, you know, virtually go and, you know, destroy the other person's ability to think or have a relationship. So all these three scenarios are possible. What I'm trying to say is that while you are all growing up individuals, you know, there is going to be some amount of mistrust which is going to come your way. Not all relationships are trustworthy, and not all relationships are secure, right? It's a trial and error method. So if we look at our family, don't we trust them blindly because they are our family, right? But suppose tomorrow I understand that somebody from my family has done something very, very bad, you know, or has done something that does not look nice, you know, or it, so then my trust issue suddenly shakes. You know, I said, oh my god, ये तो मेरे फैमिली का है और फिर भी उसने ऐसे किया. तो अनबिलीवेबल सा हो जाता है ना. तो हम ट्रस्ट जो है हमारे कित एंड किन पे बड़ी आसानी से कर सकते हैं, हमारे ब्लड लाइन पे बड़े आसानी से कर सकते हैं. और फिर हमें धीरे धीरे लोगों पे विश्वास रखना भी आना चाहिए. जिंदगी में सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि हमें रिस्क लेने की आदत होनी चाहिए, रिस्क टेकिंग बिहेवियर होना चाहिए, है ना. कि if I'm going to cross the road also, it's a risk, right? I mean, I have to trust myself to cross the road because the road is going to have so much traffic, right? But if I follow the rules, if I look left and right, if I follow the traffic signal, there is 100% chance that I will cross successfully, right? The same way, if I keep myself in a better position, so my self esteem is okay, if I trust myself first, then I will be able to deal with people around me and the trust issues may go down. And if somebody tries to backbite or somebody tries to do something very horrible, I will stand up and say, well, then this is not a right, it's not a done thing, you've done something wrong, right? So I feel trust issues will be there. As we grow older, we'll realize with every experience who are these people whom we want to be close with, and who are the people whom we don't want to be so trusting as well. Yeah. And when you're younger, yes, I do understand, when you're younger you do feel कि मेरा trust बड़ा जल्दी break करते हैं. I have children telling me that my papa doesn't trust me, my mother doesn't trust me, you know. I don't think those are trust issues. Those are more protective issues, you know, where parents feel extremely protected and they just want to protect you from a lot of things. Yeah, and we need to have a conversation on that. As far as love affairs and infatuations are concerned, yes, ये एक थोड़ा गड़बड़ area है जहाँ पे young people find it easy to fall in love, and that's where the trust issue takes place. I think we really need to look at what love is all about and how would like to love a person and what love means to me. It's a very individual thing. All of us need to, and then build trust with that person slowly and steadily. Yeah, have I been able to answer the question?
Definitely. Yeah, I do think that trust can't be built overnight, and I agree that it takes time, and trust is built differently across different relationships.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
yeah, okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, quickly before I think the last one or two questions, keeping the current times in mind, there were students who have also asked. So, I think this is from one of the female students who said that there's a lot of news related to rapes and crimes by men against women, which is very disturbing. How do I feel safe and not worry about my own safety as a girl?
Okay, okay. Uh, See, the reality is that all these things are happening around us, right? And we can't just deny them. I just can't, close my eyes and close the newspaper and close the website and say, okay, enough. I cannot take this anymore.
Hmm.
I may say it for the time being. I may shut the paper. I may shut the app, but the fact is that it's there, right? So at a very personal level, see, there are steps to be taken at different levels. At a personal level, at a societal level, there are different steps. At a level of the governance, there are different steps, right? At a personal level, I feel that what is it that can make me feel, very small things can make us feel safe, right? I would advise all the girls to be more self reliant, carry a pepper spray, carry some things with you which you think will protect you, because they are very important. uh, Even if you learn some kind of martial art, it will be very helpful, because at the end of the day it's all about protecting yourself, and protecting yourself is not a bad thing at all. Some of us are made to believe that by being by learning some kind of martial art, हम मर्दाना बन रहे हैं, या हम किसी और के साथ चोट पहुंचाएंगे, है ना? लेकिन हम किसी और के साथ तभी चोट पहुंचाएंगे जब वो हमारे को चोट पहुंचाने की कोशिश करेगा, राइट? सो इट्स मोर एन आर्ट ऑफ सेल्फ डिफेंस, राइट? So most girls should be ready for the fact that if this case happens, भगवान करे ना हो, let's pray to God that this doesn't happen to most of us, and it shouldn't happen to most of us. If our government and if all the other machineries take place in a fashion, then it shouldn't happen. But it's our personal duty to take, to protect ourselves, to be safeguard, right? So we all need to learn some amount of martial arts, some trick, some strategy to protect ourselves, so that we feel safe, right? The other thing is, see, some of us have this personalities. Like, I would like to tell you how people are. Some people read the newspaper, they're more excited in reading the crime stories. Some people just go to the sports section. Yeah. Some people just want to read the editorial page. And some people very peculiarly go only to the obituary page, right? So it shows what kind of a person I am. So, the same way, if I am going to constantly think about a fear-ridden topic, ki rape, so then I need to take charge of the fact that I don't need to see such a lot of negative news. I need to take care of myself. I need to take some steps, pepper spray, maybe some martial art, maybe some helpline numbers. We have helpline numbers across India. We have one in Rajasthan as well. Yeah. So all these things, if you are empowered with, if you have it in your kit, then I don't think we should feel so unsafe, because the world is really not that unsafe. बहुत ज़्यादा hype करने से we all will get scared, which is not good for us, which is not good for our mental health, right? What we really need to do here is play the attack and the defense game whenever it is possible, right? So when the attack comes in, I need to really learn to defend myself. And if I feel that this is a place where I need to attack, well, I need to attack then, to protect myself.
All right, ma'am. Okay, so ma'am, now for the final question, actually, what has been asked by the student is this, that when will things get back to normal? I would want to rephrase that a little bit and just ask you, what would be one message that you would want to give to the students through this time of crisis when we are adapting to the new normal? And what is one thing that can help them keep hope during this difficult time?
We all should be, in a way, lucky. You might think that ma'am is talking rubbish, but to have experienced a pandemic like this, we are going through one, is once in a lifetime experience. It's not going to happen again. Okay. तो ये सदी में पहली बार हो रहा है, और अपने साथ पहली बार हो रहा है, और शायद आखिरी बार हो रहा है ना? इसके बाद इतनी सारी चीजें नहीं होंगी. तो so first let's take this as a fact that okay, this is happening for the first time for a lot of people all over the world. It's just not me, right? And how ready are we to face this pandemic? I think from the first lockdown to all the fifth unlockdown, people really have changed their behaviors. We all have changed our behaviors. we should be proud of ourselves. We've adapted, haven't we? We wash our hands regularly. We see to that we wear a mask. भले ही कंपलसरी है इसीलिए पहनते हैं, लेकिन हम पहनते हैं, है ना? और हम कितने अब अपनी सेहत के प्रति सजग हो गए हैं, और उसके साथ साथ हमने ये भी जिम्मेदारी ले ली है कि हम दूसरे के प्रति भी सजग हो जाएं. The moment I wear a mask, I not only protect myself, I also protect the other person, which is a very brave thing to do. And I want to tell all the youngsters that we are not only doing it for ourselves, we are doing it for others as well. If I take care of myself, I'm indirectly taking care of, let's say, 10 people, right? So this is a very positive way to look at things. We are going to deal with this pandemic, and we're going to deal with it bravely. We're not going to get sad or depressed. We may have those emotions from time to time. Yes, there may be restrictions, like we have 144 in the city right now, so we are probably not able to gather in groups. We are not able to go to schools and colleges. We're not able to go to a party, right? But that's just for the time being. But we're able to spend time at home. We're able to bond with people at home, and that can also be sometimes very tiring. I can understand. But like I said, we have to now start thinking that, okay, now how can I become more positive about this situation? What can I do? What can I learn more online? How can I, help people? So this is a time to explore your better said, who you are. How am I going to, bloom better? So in the pandemic, yes, there are many things which are negative, but definitely the pandemic is teaching us a lot of things. And if we are open to learning, I think we will become better people. So let's just follow all the guidelines which the government has, told us to follow, and let's be just good citizens. Let's take care of each other, of our families, of this country. Let's be participant in the progress that our country is making, and let's just do our bit. And I'm sure we will be able to encounter this pandemic, and we'll be able to help each other and take care of ourselves. Yeah. So let's not panic. Let's not get sad. Let's not worry too much. Let's learn to look out for answers and solutions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shiromani.
So well said, ma'am. Thank you so much for your insights and your valuable suggestions, which I'm sure are going to help our student community. Before we end, I would like to just acknowledge that it's my privilege to extend the vote of thanks and express my gratitude to all the people who were present here today. First, I would like to thank the esteemed members of our management, Reverend Father Verki Perikat, the manager of the college, the principal, Reverend Father Rex Angelo, the vice principal, Reverend Father Sherry George, and vice principal and administrator, Reverend Father Raymond Carabin, for giving us a forum, to make our vision come true of promoting mental health and extending their unwavering support to our department always. I would also like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Deshpande, for taking time out of a busy schedule to be with us here today and answer all these queries of the students so patiently and with so many examples. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Purvi Medatwal, head of our Department of Economics and Psychology, for always encouraging and helping us aim for higher standards of excellence. I also thank all faculty members for attending this interactive webinar. At the end, I would like to thank the students who were present for the webinar in making this session a huge success. Thank you for sending in so many of your questions and doubts about mental health. I hope that it was a fruitful interaction which will help you stay hopeful in the times to come. Before ending, I would just like to request all of you to please turn on your camera so that we can take a group photograph. Students, could you all please turn on your cameras?
There will be a lot of traffic, Shiromani.
Yes, ma'am. Just 1 second, ma'am. Okay, I think the picture has been taken.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, St. Xavier's College. Thank you, Shiromani. Thank you, Purvi, for giving me this opportunity to talk to students. It's always a pleasure to, talk to young minds, because these are the people who we really need to interact with. These are our citizens, and the questions that they've brought on board are really, really very relevant and very insightful. It was a pleasure answering them. I hope I've been able to do justice. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Students, if you have any other questions or clarifications, please feel free to write to me. Thank you. Bye-bye.